My name is Eric Rushton. I have an incredibly large phallus, and I'm a show-off. If someone is a show-off, then that's a bad thing, I think most people would say. It's got very negative connotations, hasn't it, the phrase show-off. Show-offs are annoying. If you get called a show-off, it's not a compliment, it's an insult. I used to get called a show-off when I was a kid, whenever my older brother's friends came round. I got loads of older brothers. I'm the second youngest in a family of 8 kids, 6 boys, 2 girls, if you care about the breakdown of that. And when I was young, like 6 or 7, and my brothers who were teenagers had their mates around, I'd act up. I'd sort of be hyper and loud. I'd burst into my brother's room, I'd dance about, try and get involved in whatever they were doing. Just being proper annoying. And my brothers would always be like, Eric, stop showing off. Or my mum even would get involved. She'd start telling me off for showing off and tell me to leave them alone. In my head, what I wanted was my brother's friends to think I was the cool one. When you're a kid, validation from older kids is like the best thing ever. So I wanted them to prefer me to my brother. Like they'd be like, hang on, we're 15, we're smoking weed. We thought we were cool, but this 7-year-old dancing in his underwear is on a different level. I'm sorry, Rob, but I think it's your brother I want to forge a connection with going forward. But I'm kind of embarrassed about that now, and when I hear someone described as a show-off, it kind of makes me feel uncomfortable, because it reminds me of being that kid desperate for attention. And when I see someone that I think is showing off, I think I project my feelings onto them. I'm like, oh, I know why you're doing this. And then it reminds me of the things that I don't like about myself, that I'm not totally independent, that there'll always be a little part of me that's desperate for the approval of others. I guess you could say what I don't like about myself is that I'm human. I don't really get called a show-off anymore. I still definitely am, I just have more subtle ways of doing it. I show off in ways that are socially acceptable. Like any post on social media is showing off, innit? It's saying, look at me, look at what I'm doing, look at how good my life is. I do that. I did a post yesterday that was showing off. I had a gig in Leicester on Friday. It was a preview thing for the Leicester Comedy Festival. It was like a gala thing. There were 1,400 people there, easily the biggest crowd I've ever performed to. Went really well, but it wasn't just enough for me to experience that. I felt compelled to show it off on social media, like it would mean more if more people knew about it. Just the fact that I do stand-up comedy is showing off. I go on stage and say things that I'm hoping people will laugh at, and I want the audience to like me. It's hard to deny that. It's hard to deny it showing off. I used to try and deny it. I used to argue, not even to anyone else, just to kind of myself, that I did comedy for the art, that I did it for I got some intrinsic joy from it. It's about the craft. And I like to think there's some truth to that, but a massive amount of the pleasure is being on stage and it going well and people thinking you're great. We're wired to crave the positive reinforcement that comes with showing off our abilities, whatever job it is, whatever ability it is. Even if you're just cooking a meal, you want the people eating it to be like, this is great, because it makes you feel good about yourself, because everyone's thinking more highly of you. But it's considered kind of tacky to view it in that way, to admit we do things to show off. So you have to justify it by being like, no, I just do it for myself. I do it for the art. You think my chili con carne's inedible, mate? Don't care, I do it for the art. Maybe you just don't understand my chili con carne. I think people who say they aren't show-offs are the biggest show-offs of them all. People who are like, I don't care what people think of me. Yeah, why are you telling me then? Isn't everything we do to show off? We're not independent. We live in a society and we're constantly signalling to each other and monitoring other people's views of us, unconsciously at least. Even if you're like, oh, I don't care about society, and you kind of reject the predominant views of your society, you still probably belong and identify with a subset of that society, and you care what that subset think of you, and you change your behaviour based on whether or not you'll be accepted by that subset, which is showing off. We're always in little groups, aren't we? Even anarchists have meetings, presumably, and they probably want to impress each other at those meetings. They probably want to be a good anarchist in front of their little anarchist mates. Probably a big night when the anarchists get together. Bet they shower at least. Showering, showing off. Oh, you want to smell nice for others? Show off. Maybe anarchists don't shower. I don't know that much about anarchists. Imagine the boring species we'd be if we didn't show off. If we were all just sat there smug and satisfied with everything we've done with our lives. Not needing to display anything to other people. Nothing would get invented, nothing would get done. And you need a bit of dissatisfaction and uncertainty in yourself to keep things going. To keep everything going. Unhappiness is the driving force of the universe. Some forms of showing off are considered worse than other forms, like theatre, being a serious theatre actor. That form of showing off is considered like high art. Probably a more respectable form of showing off than doing stand-up comedy. Someone doing Shakespeare is considered more worthwhile than me talking about Greggs. A painter like Leonardo da Vinci is considered to be a truer artist than a porn star. Why? We're all just showing off what we can do. We're all just making the most of our talents, shaking what our mama gave us. I think porn is a valid art. If I was really good at sex, I'd want to display it. I'd put it out there. It's inspiring when you see the level some of these people have got to. People who've properly studied the craft, worked on their technique of ploughing or sucking or whatever for years, and now they figured out a way to monetize it. Let's put some respect on porn stars' names again. Because I'm telling you now, if Da Vinci had OnlyFans, he would not be getting the numbers these people are. What's he going to do? Paint the Mona Lisa with her tits out? Then what? Where does he go from there? You're a one-trick pony, Leonardo. These people work hard. Some of these people are putting out new content every single day, replying to fans, building a brand. They've got to be business people. Talk about sacrificing yourself for your art. People who make adult content, they're like often sacrificing their own mental health, their own relationships. How they emotionally connect with sex in their personal life must be more difficult. But they still do what they do because it's what they believe they were put on this earth to do. And if you don't think that's valid, then you better have a squeaky clean internet history. You probably do have a clean internet history. Because you use incognito mode, don't you? Because you're ashamed. You're the one with the issues, pal. I don't know why I've gone off on this tangent. My point is, I reckon, I probably don't have a point, but I'm going to try find one. I think it's this. Showing off isn't the problem. The real issues are judgment and shame. Judgment of how others live their lives, and being too ashamed in yourself to embrace the very human need to show off to people what we can do. I think it's about pride as well, which is kind of the flip of shame. Because when I show off about comedy and do a post about some gig I've done, it feels different to when I was a kid in my underwear in my brother's bedroom. And I think it's still about wanting people to like me, but it's wanting them to like me because of something that I'm really proud of that I do. And if you have something in your life that you're proud of, whether it's your job, your hobby, whether you are a painter or a serious theatre actor, or whether you're a porn star, then show it off. Because I, for one, would like to see it. Thank you.